Game on, everyone! We have a little bit of Heroes of the Storm action again, and in this game we have the meme machine, Khaldor's meme machine to be exact, on the left here in a best of 3, starting off on Braxis, Holdout with Death Knight on Murden, Sugar Daddy 69 on Artanis, Slag on Phoenix, Smaragd on Greymane, and Martin on Whitemane. And to the right, it's 42 Esports, starting here with Khaldor on Reyna, Eternity on Gul'dan, and Nubarak played by that guy, Q's, Weirdbeard on Tyrande, and Chapter on Blaze. Just to put a little bit of perspective on the game that we have here, this is Division 1 of HeroesLounge Europe. If you have never heard of HeroesLounge, I can only recommend that you guys make the trip over to HeroesLounge.gg and check them out. These guys are the biggest amateur scene league that we have in Heroes of the Storm. And they just opened an A division as well, which I think is currently in their first season. So this is a best of 3. Was played in the division, in the first division, and both of those teams were pretty high up at the time, ranking amongst the top 5 teams. We're gonna find out who takes the victory here today. So already we're having a pretty heavy commitment at the top lane, actually. Oh, but that was a jet propulsion out of the heavens. Chapter here, nearly able to take down Murden with the help of Reyna, and didn't quite end up that way. Now, it's not really the split that you would necessarily expect on Braxis. Phoenix has currently his fair share of work to do down here at the bot lane against 3, especially, of course, with the wave clear that Gul'dan has. It's a bit tricky, and you have the Tyrande and a Nubarak set up here against him as well, so he needs to be really careful that he doesn't get hit by the stuns. But the blue team is already starting to rotate a bit. The whole idea was at the beginning to just have with Artanis and the rest of the team a bit of pressure against the towers, maybe even take one down. And now we see rotations starting, trying to put Greymane into a spot where he can get his entire wave clear potential through and into the game to take that out. Same time though, you look over and you see that we're having a pretty similar approach from 42 Esports. Now they don't really have the clear power that Greymane himself has on a single hero, but they're still in a position where they are able to get their fair share of mercenaries onto the map and get a bit more bottom pressure. And as the game kind of calms down a little bit and those opening gambits are over, we're now seeing Artanis face off against Blaze in the solo lane. But still, this is still a big factor what we're seeing here right now. If you have the option of putting Greymane together with Whitemane onto camp duty, you can basically just start to take those and put the pressure in. I like the little move from Nubarak here, trying to wait and see if maybe someone is coming through with the camp taken. They had, of course, a good idea that someone was up to the top and expected probably Whitemane and Greymane to eventually make the move over down, but as both of them Hearthstone back in order to top off mana and HP, that didn't really come into play there. So for now, with Braxis, we're going to see how that's going to work out for them, but again, it comes to the kill pressure that especially Tyrande has here, and that's something where they have to be really careful. If you have that Nubarak together with Tyrande getting a stun setup in, and then either Gul'dan or Reyna are able to get the damage through, there is definitely a lot of kill potential on their side. And the top lane has now changed a little bit as well. Artanis has put in a lot of pressure together with that camp, and that forced the rotation through Gul'dan there eventually, which we just saw move up to the top. Same time now though, down here we are seeing even more pressure from the meme machine. Khaldor's boys are starting to make their plays, and let's see how that works out. So right now, looking at this, we're currently seeing still the 4 versus 4 down here at the bot lane. And in terms of peak in progress, just nothing. It's actually one of the things that me personally, I find it always weird after Braxis got changed a little bit, that it's now absolutely insanely difficult to really get a whole wave of Zergs through, and oftentimes we only see that very late in the game. But here come those stun combos, and down goes Phoenix. Nice kill. Again, a Nubarak under pressure now, the counter kill potential, but they're not able to quite take him down. Smaragd on the Greymane trying to go for Eternity here with the Gul'dan, but having very little luck. Whitemane already down, Greymane about to follow as Reyna goes in. Jimmy delivers a little bit of pepper, and down they go. 3 kills against 0, and 42 Esports taking control of the bot lane, breaking through the wall, dropping the fountain, and carrying the momentum into the outer defense structures of the blue team. Really well done. We have Death Knight at least trying to interrupt any progress on the side of 42 Esports when it comes to the objective, but the momentum definitely by now in the hands of the red team, playing this really well here, capitalizing in the last fight on those stun combos with Tyrande, with the Nubarak, and then letting the damage fall through with Gul'dan and Reyna to drop 3 heroes in total. And now they, of course, are also starting to take the lead in experience. But Eternity on his Gul'dan went out a little bit too far and is gonna pay with his life for that. Out of position and taken out here. The Meme Machine trying to make their way back into it. 6%, 8% on the progress bar, a little bit more even now on the side of 42 Esports, as they are able to take a small advantage on the objective, but it's not really enough to even threaten any kind of Zerg wave. Especially since we're having at the top now 2 heroes. So Reyna made the rotation top after the triple kill bot lane to help out Chapter with his Blaze play against Artanis a bit, and Sugar Daddy is in trouble. Daddy, no! Goes down regardless. So good kill. And that's kill number 4 already. The level 7 talent advantage, obviously, giving a bit of advantageous situation to the red team with that approach. We're having down here towards the bot lane. Now still the attempt to control the beacon point, but also a lot more damage potential with the level 7 talents now when we're looking towards the Meme Machine. Committing to give him the axe here on level 7 for Muradin. At the same time, you look over to the Wizened Duelist taken up from Greymane. So it's all about getting that damage through right now. We're having also Intercession taken for Whitemane, meaning of course that you have that cleanse available whenever there is again an approach by Anubarak and by Tyrande to try and get one of these kills in. Talking kills, Reyna at the top lane actually falling. Chapter trying to escape here and able to make his way past, but still an exchange in beacons as we're having both teams now on the same talents. With that being said, if you kind of look a little bit at the kill potential here, talking about it as we speak, Death Knight is low and might fall, and indeed goes down. Gul'dan's damage, all that fell damage is just a little bit too much for him to handle, so he's already a goner. Slake holding the line here, trying to get the experience for his team. But of course, the big one that we're looking forward to now is that level 10 ability that should be pretty early for 42 Esports if they continue their play. Chapter on his Blaze, still not falling. There are continuous attempts to take him down with that 3-man setup that we have seen top lane right now, but he's not falling for any of it at this point. So at this moment in time, we're still seeing that leading experience for 42 Esports. Again, camps are taken. It's true so for both of the teams here, as we're now having the blue team also committing again to the hard camp, to the bruiser camp. Owl, of course, still providing the vision here. But in the game on Braxis right now, it's most of the time, depending on compositions, it's not really so much an issue of, okay, can we out-rotate our opponent on the beacons? You really need to win fights and make something happen if you have compositions like this to try and finally get a Zerg wave for yourself. There are a couple of compositions that we've seen, for example, around BlizzCon, where teams have been trying to play with a lot more mobile setups and trying to just use the mobility on heroes to out-rotate and they create camp pressure. But with the compositions that we're seeing right now, eventually this is going to lead to a couple of team fights, or at least individual kills that then can help to finally get that map control that they need. But 42 Esports has a bit of a window. Now, it's not a big one, don't get me wrong, but they have a level 10 any second, and with that they can now try and maybe make a play here. But we already have an immediate rotation from the Meme Machine. They're starting to go to the top. They're just saying, okay, we can't hold bot lane. It's not going to happen. Let's go bot side, top side, try and take down Blaze again, but at least claim the beacon. That buys us a little bit more time to get our own experience, and we take it from there. And it's a smart choice to make, to be honest. But of course, that level 10 still allows Chapter 40 or 42 Esports to get the 4 down to the bot lane. They committed to that immediately. Didn't even try to play reactive and maybe rotate to the top lane and fight for the beacon progress. So in that sense, was actually a very smart move that we just saw from 42 Esports. And they're now trying to continue that with another camp taken, and we're seeing them probably going to approach a bit of a team fight up here to the top. First time that we have heroic abilities that gives us the cursed bullet that we're having. Also Whitemane with a Scarlet Aegis that can be used in the team fight if it happens. Here comes the beacon progress again, or about to. Immediately Artanis with his ult as well. Suppression pulse. Eternity is low and might fall here, but Artanis is also not looking too healthy. He goes down first, and then immediately the focus fire shifts towards Phoenix. He's able to warp out here. Smaragd on his Greymane is low, and so is Gul'dan. Down goes, first of all, Phoenix, and then Gul'dan is falling as well, and that might not be all of it. Death Knight on Muradin is in trouble too, trying to stay alive here. Whitemane is doing her best, but at this point, Muradin is a goner as well. He's down, and that's another exchange in favor of 42 Esports. 8 kills against 3 by now. They get the beacon progress, and that is going to make things a lot tougher at this point for Khaldor's Meme Machine. They were trying to heavily focus on those mercenary camps early on to try and get a bit of an advantage, but right now they really have to play a bit of a catch-up game. And they are able to, again, claim at least the top side beacon, but we have by now an entire level lead from 42 Esports, and they are really looking to add up and stack up these kills. No one rotating bot side. We're heading into another team fight right now, since both of the teams are fighting over the top objective. Again, the stun with the Impale coming through. Swap attempt successful against Tyrande. Weird Beard trying to move away, but it's too late already. The kill confirmed, as we are seeing the Meme Machine going for number 2. They're trying to go for Chapter. Again, Sugar Daddy with the Artanis swap attempt, this time not successful. Gets feared, gets taken down, and a Cocoon is on the ground to put Greymane into even more trouble. But Muradin jumping in, trying to intercept that. Nice intercession on the side of Whitemane, saving Greymane for now. The salvo comes through, and Nubarak goes down, but again, the counter attempt and the kill against Phoenix. Chapter going in, attempting to stun out Whitemane. That didn't quite work out for them, but that fight is so far won for the red team once again. It was a great start actually for the Meme Machine. Getting that Artanis swap against Tyrande was absolutely awesome and led to the immediate kill, but then things are starting to turn a little bit south after we've seen that massive damage coming out of Eternity in particular. Him able to take down Phoenix was definitely a huge play in that fight, and then Tyrande coming back now, of course, a bit earlier as well. And by now we have the extra talent. We're seeing Giddy uptaken for Jimmy. We're having at the same time, when you look over now, even Tyrande specking into the Harsh Moonlight. So not going into Quickening Blessing on anything on these lines. Harsh Moonlight for her. Entire build here, again, also centered a lot around the Celestial Attunement. Makes perfect sense if you're going up against that Muradin here. And also, of course, with 13, Whitemane is going to have a little bit more CC on their side. But now, looking down to the bot lane. First of all, we're having the Zerg wave already cleaned out, but still 2 forts are gone. And if you just look towards the Gul'dan and Reyna setup, there's a little bit more damage coming through too, where they're attempting to break down through the wall. Now we have 2 heroes that were anchoring that play a little bit, the 2 tanks trying to make sure that nobody's flanking in too hard, which allowed them to drop an additional tower, and that gate is gone as well. Even the camps are now being taken away. And of course 42 Esports is capitalizing on the fact that they have the extra talent. They want to fight right now. They are in a spot where they're just daring their opponent, saying like, hey, if you want to fight for the camp, be our guest. We have a talent advantage on you. We are in a great position here. If you want to fight for this, that's absolutely fine with us. We are happy to take that battle any day. And they're just continuing to clear the left side of the map from mercenaries. Take it away from your opponent, claim them, make sure that you apply a bit more pressure, you establish your map control. And especially with the next objective coming up, keep in mind that having the fountain here at the bot side and having the one at the top side also still available to you, that gives them a great retreat spot where they can just simply top off their mana, their hit points, and then re-enter into a fight after a quick reset. So it's a fantastic position on the map that we have in this first game of this series now. And I mean, we talk about a league format here, so if you are able to win this best of 3, maybe with a clean 2-0, you already set yourself up for a fantastic season. The Meme Machine was a great team last season as well. They made it way deep into the playoffs, and of course, if 42 Esports would be able to secure a victory here, that would be great for them. The Meme Machine, from my personal opinion, definitely moved into this as the favorite, but right now their setup is just not really working out for them the way that they were hoping for. And 42 Esports is giving them quite the run for their money. We have once more the approach down through the bot lane right now to look for their team fight. Meme Machine now in blue here with the level 13 talents as well. It definitely helps. Shield talents on Artanis with a Faceable Walk now after we've seen the battery taken on level 4. So now relying on the 50 spell armor as well. And that definitely should help in particular against Gul'dan. But we have seen a couple of great horror fights here that definitely changed fights. There was a great kill following a horror fight against Greymane at the top side, which definitely did work. The problem really that we're seeing for the Meme Machine is the level 16. So you have a bit of a time window where you know that your opponent isn't even talents with you. The question is, how do you use that? And so far, the Meme Machine is actually in a position where they are starting to just dongle around right here and they're saying like, nah, let's see what we can do. So you look a little bit at the quest talents as well, and you see that we have 28 stacks on the Echo Corruption, and oops, Artanis is gone. That was a quick one. The Cocoon is on the ground against Whitemane, so one kill quickly confirmed, and the second one just there for the taking. If Martin dies as well, that's going to be the end for any fight that they could possibly take before level 16, and the boss is being attacked immediately. Now, Greymane at least has 11 stacks on the Wizened Duelist. That gives him a bit more damage potential, but if you look over to their opponent, 7 stacks now on the Lunar Blaze, 30 on the Echoed Corruption. Yes, Khaldor could maybe be a little bit farther ahead with this and try and get now with the Ruinous Affliction of 16 also a completed quest on level 1, which would help to bring the pain even more. But just in general, their setup is absolutely fantastic right now. They have the boss coming in, they have at the same time now the objective being claimed again. You can see with the damage output that Khaldor and Reyna are doing exceptionally well here and able to really top the charts completely, whereas on the other side Phoenix is getting the damage through, but it's not really quite that kill potential they're hoping for. I mean, you look at that kill count, it's 12 against 5. 2-level lead now as well, and we are seeing once again the approach for Death Knight here on his Meridian. They're trying to push the fight past the boss. Double stun here with the Lunar Blaze coming through. The fear, a Horrify leading to another kill here. Whitemane down, also Meridian in trouble, gets impaled, is getting dropped here, and this should be the beginning of the end. The Zerg wave already coming through the top lane, the boss taking down the fort, and we're seeing another attempt for Phoenix, this time successful. Daddy is dying too, and this is not looking pretty as we have 42 Esports going straight for the core. The Me Machine is gonna lose a game number 1. Great performance here by 42 Esports, and they are going to take this lead 1-0 in the best of 3 here at HeroesLounge GG, taking the advantage in the match. Game on, everyone! Game number 2 in the series between Meneldor's Me Machine and 42 Esports, and so far the Me Machine is trailing behind a little bit, losing the game on Braxis. This time though, to the left, we're having the Me Machine with MalGanis, Death Knight playing the hero here, and we're gonna pay a lot of attention to the build that he's using and how much of an impact we're gonna see MalGanis have in this match. Smaragd on Li Ming, we're seeing Martin on Tyrande, Sugar Daddy on Thrall, and Reyna played by Slake, so a lot of race potential here for the blue team. And to the right, we have 42 Esports with Hanzo played by Eternity, Chapped on Malthael, Kolios on Medivh, Weirdbeard on Anna, and Murden played by Q's. So we're going to find out how exactly this is working out for the team in blue this time, or if maybe we're even going to see the 2-0 victory for 42 Esports. Now, first of all, there's a couple of things that we definitely have to point out. Thrall should go into Crash Lightning if he continues to make his way. Yes, he indeed does. If he makes his way into the 4-man, makes a lot more sense for him to be part of the 4-man rotation if you go into Crash Lightning. If you go into any other choice here, then where you would rather see him on the solo lane. But this is where currently Reyna is going up against Malthael. So we're going to see how that exactly works out. Also, when you look towards the setup for Ana, we have the grenade calibration now taken, so also a bit of a quest attempt, but not really going for the usual piercing dart build that we are seeing so often, that we've actually seen in HGC quite that much. And when it comes to talents, another one that we should probably highlight is that we're currently seeing Exterminator on the side of Reyna. So most of the time when you see teams play Reyna, they will still go into the extra damage here on the level 1 talent, but on this map in particular, there is a lot of potential where you can just go for a quick race on the immortal hit points, and that's exactly what the team is currently looking at. You have a Li Ming for poke, you have Tyrande in your lineup, Reyna comes in with the extra damage on his level 1 as well, and then on top of that, of course, you have with MalGanis and with Thrall also that lineup. And MalGanis is here in the main tank role, especially when the hero was announced and his kit became known. A lot of people were speculating, okay, Is that another bruiser? Can we play that in main tank position? And there was a lot of back and forth, and most of the players that have been vocal about that have now used that in the main tank position. NA has pretty much led the charge there, and then after playing it, a lot of the European pros have also come over to that thought that MalGanis will be able to be played in that main tank role. And it was for a long time actually like a bit of a point where people were talking about it, since Blizzard kind of failed a little bit to establish another main tank for a long time. And there was also a bit of a statement that at some point popped up on Reddit, where originally Blizzard was apparently thinking that Blaze could be that main tank, but through all the wave clear and self-sustain that he had, Blaze of course just became an incredibly strong solo laner and currently one of the best still in the game. Now we're talking about MalGanis. He has of course a lot of self-sustain thanks to his trait as well. We're having on level 1 now also the Vampiric Aura, so a lot of it going for the self-heal through damage for those sustains. And we're having on top of that with him now of course also the added mobility that he has later on in fights through his Fell Claws. But definitely the Vampiric Touch as his trait is something that can help him in these team fights with the rest of his abilities. And now talking about the level 4 talent, we're seeing him here with a Fueled by Torment taken as the alternative in this game. And again, builds of course can still change over time a little bit. We haven't really seen MalGanis in HGC yet, and it's going to be quite some time until that actually happens. But it's definitely a hero that we can already keep a bit of a closer eye on, since that is definitely going to happen eventually. So right now it's all about him just like staying alive here with the Fueled by Torment as well. You get a little bit more damage converted into healing and get that extra heal out there. So it's all about the self-sustain for him currently. When you're looking towards that immortal pressure, by the way, we are having especially the meme machine with a lot of damage. And what we're seeing on the side of 42 Esports is of course the attempt to make a couple of plays here with Medivh in particular. Now the damage output is mainly going to come from Hanzo and from Malthael, but it could still be a little bit tricky for them here. Already Ana in trouble. The shield helps out, the portal on the ground, and then barely saves her here as 42 Esports made a big play on the left side, but now loses out on the Immortal regardless. And that comes back to what we've been talking about a bit earlier. That pressure that we see with Li Ming, with Tyrande, with Thrall, and also Reyna. And that pressure is going to come through that bot lane now. Reyna has taken his position top side again. We're going to keep a close eye also on the stacks here for Thrall, and he's currently sitting at 10 stacks on the Crash Lightning. Incidentally, it's also the same amount of stacks that we have for the Grenade Calibration, with Ana heading still into the Airstrike as the level 4 talent choice. But the pressure that we're seeing here, definitely something where the meme machine is already starting to take a little bit of a lead, and they are starting to go in hard with that Immortal. That still had 50% shields, and the wall is already gone, and they are going in deep. Here comes already MalGanis, using that mobility that we highlighted a bit earlier, and trying to sustain himself through that line of heroes here, and of course also focusing the attention of 42 Esports away from the Immortal, and that Immortal went straight through the fort. MalGanis still using his abilities here, going straight into the Sleeper with a Night Rush, but a little bit too deep even for him, and 1v4 is then not really the preferred game mode for the tank, no matter how sustainable you are. So yeah, he goes down in that case, but at the same time now that also was basically because there was a forced rotation from Malthael moving down. So good start for the meme machine. But when you look at experience, they're really not that far behind ahead right now. So we have the level 7 talent coming in at this point, and we're seeing the Will of Tichondrios taken. And with that, we're seeing even more lifesteal. This time is on the slashes on the Fell Claws, but you can already see where the build is going. It's just simply having massive sustain. And we've seen, of course, with other heroes in the past that one of the best tools against that is stuns. If you can stun someone out. There comes the sleep, though. Down goes Muradin. He was a bit too far out here, and the chase was on. Now, we've seen Medivh not only complete his quest, but he also attempted to save Muradin here somehow. But that portal just came in a bit too late. And that then ended eventually with the demise of him. So yeah, Fell Claws already a bit of a focus point here with the level 7, and MalGanis really just thinking about going through all of this and trying then to stay alive for as long as possible. Stuns is something that they have to be careful of, but so far it's mainly Muradin that has a couple of stuns available, and he even specs into Skullcracker here. So we have later down the road a few more tools that 42 Esports can really use, but the more reliable stun is really that Stormbolt coming out, and then with Skullcracker you get the extra mini stun as well, at least at an interrupt. We have also by now with Calamity on level 7 one of the biggest power spikes on Li Ming herself, and that reset potential the hero really holds is now just increased by quite a bit. For the meme machine, again, the pressure against the Immortal is going to become important. They want to win through the objective, and they already have the lead in experience. It might not be a massive one, but it's definitely there, and if they can hit that time window, they can make a bit of a play here. Ana is still trying to get those grenades through. Good stun attempt here, also against Malthael. And keep in mind, when it comes to the stuns here, outside of MalGanis and the sleep that he provides with the Night Rush, we are also now, of course, looking at still those Frost Wolves from Thrall and at the follow-up with Tyrande. So there's a lot of kill potential when you're looking over at this. Already here, again, Ana delivering, but we have the attack happening. Death Knight moving in with the Fell Claws, and they're starting to put a massive amount of damage onto that Immortal right now. Death Knight still needs to be careful, went maybe a little bit too deep here. They don't have level 10 just yet. Even Hanzo chipping in and saving himself at the last moment. But nice skirmish that we had. And it leaves the meme machine ahead in the Immortal race again. Even the rotation topside to deal with the camp is now happening for them. And that rotation actually takes out the camp that was claimed earlier, but it also allows now 42 Esports to put some pressure onto the Immortal too. It's kind of what you would love to avoid, but for the meme machine was also the idea, okay, let's make sure that we can just simply move in and just get level 10, and then we play around that. And now we have Carrion Swarm taken for MalGanis. We see Sundering for those flank attempts that we are having with Thrall. The Ancestral Wrath earlier taken on level 7 will of course help even more so with trying to burst someone down here. And talking about burst, that Immortal is just getting wrecked. The arrow though, Leyline and arrow, unfortunately for them, stacked here. Sundering comes through, saves them for now. Carrion Swarm is being used, and there goes the Immortal. Immortal taken. If they can get kills as well, that would be a disaster for 42 Esports. Everybody's low. Here comes the last rites. MalGanis down, Thrall down, 42 Esports with that triple kill. They might have lost the Immortal, but they definitely won the battle, and now they've even taken the lead in experience. Now, of course, they still need to deal with a bad boy here at the top, but that was an absolutely insane fight. Like, for the longest time, it really looked like 42 Esports might lose a couple of heroes here, but then it's the damage that comes through Malthael himself, the finishing it off with the last rites, getting the first few kills in. And the problem that really existed for the meme machine was that at no point in time did they get that reset for Li Ming that they really needed. It was a massive, massive issue for them. If the first reset comes through, then Smaragd has a very good opportunity to just go completely through their team. Just get one teleport in after another. But now they are setting this up for a kill potentially against Myrden. They don't quite get him. But it was nice damage output that we just saw there. It was actually a perfect setup. You see, first of all, the Night Rush coming through from MalGanis, him making sure that the target is put in place. The stun comes through. You have immediately Ming using it for target practice with the combo. Tyrande coming in with the stun and the Hunter's Mark. And that threatens everyone. Here comes once again the arrow, tanked by MalGanis, not hitting the heroes in the back that were originally intended to be hit here. And the stun from Tyrande. But Myrden jumps away. Again, no resets for Li Ming. Definitely not the place where they want to be in, but that was an interesting battle. A great setup originally from 42 Esports. Something really well done here. Grenade coming through again. So the initial setup was actually like really well executed here, but then MalGanis tanking the arrow from Hanzo, denying the play to an extent. Myrden barely jumping out just before he dies, denying the reset to Li Ming, who was just waiting to get the extra damage in, and then both teams moving away here. Also, let's talk a bit about the quest talents again, because by now we're actually, obviously we have the grenade calibration already completed, we've seen this earlier, but we have now also Crash Lightning on 20 stacks, and that's something that we definitely have to keep a bit of an eye on, and we will, because once that's completed, he will dish out even more damage than he already does. And currently, if you look towards Thrall, the poke puts him on 29,000 as the highest damage dealer in the game right now, so pretty substantial actually. One of the things that also is going to become more and more important as the game now progresses is to watch out for that nano boost that we are seeing from Ana here. Once that comes through and the attack is started, this is really where 42 Esports is going to have to make their play. And this is also what we're going to see here. The grenade still getting more and more work in. Ana just like shooting those out the entire time. Camps are on the map. And talking about camps, we actually see 42 Esports with the help of Medivh now making the quick rotation over to their own camp and grab that as quickly as they can, while we have the camp of their opponent already moving down through the bot lane. We've even seen Liming moving a little bit farther forward to take out a few more of those minions and make it easier for the camp to apply pressure. And that opens a potential move towards the Immortal, but Liming might have been out a little bit too far. Uses everything she has, dodges out on the Storm Bolt. Smaragd gets away. No! The kill is there. A bit too greedy. Here comes the attempt for the flank with the Sundering. They're going for Muradin, and he might even fall here. Last rights used. Thrall is down. Muradin himself is escaping. Once again, Medivh just making the plays here for them. Death Knight was trying with the Carrion Swarm to confirm that kill, but that didn't work out for him. And all of a sudden, we're having the meme machine down to heroes. Their camp has also been defeated. A level lead for 42 Esports, and up to the top side, we're seeing their own camp do even more work as they are now focusing their attention onto the Immortal. Great plays in particular by Medivh here. Like, so many saves on Muradin and other heroes just before they were about to die. Really well done. Smaragd a little bit to blame for that last fight. He went far out trying to take the camp and just didn't really account for the extra speed that Medivh has when it comes to the rotations. Those portals helped to set that flank up, and he did not really think about that apparently, or figure that in properly. But the Immortal fight isn't quite over just yet. They are still low, but here comes the pressure onto Muradin, and this time, can he get away? Muradin is finally falling, and that is kill number 2 in the hands of the meme machine. They have still a bit of a defensive posture here that they're trying to use. In comes the Sundering, but immediately the portal is ready. Can't do too much here, but a few kills would go a long way, and there's the first one. Ana goes down as MalGanis goes in and secures it. Job well done, but how much of that Immortal HP of 42 Esports can they really take down? Because their own Immortal is already at 900 hit points. That's not really too much. Also, talking about Hanzo, by the way. Hanzo comes in, and yeah, it's like he's a pretty good hero on that battleground. I don't know what to tell you. So, we have the Immortal, and the Orbs are taking over. They're going to try and burn that down. I also told you we're going to focus a bit on MalGanis. He has gone into deep sleep right now on level 13. So, you have an increased duration on the Night's Rush sleep. And the movement speed bonus is increased by 10% as well. So can be a pretty powerful tool here. Already using it to interrupt the potential play. 4-man arrow anyways, just kidding. And MalGanis is still out there. Moving away now, but can they keep him alive? Death Knight needs to be careful. That Immortal comes in with a stun. And that's the end of MalGanis. He is down, and once more 42 Esports starting to make the plays. Also on 13, the inevitable end now of Marthael, of course, helping them a ton. That fort is about to fall, and you just look at the experience, and it's actually getting insane. Level 16 talents any second now for 42 Esports, and these bad boys are really on fire right now. The win on Braxis was already really well executed, and now you're seeing them even farther ahead in this game. But then again, they haven't really taken down a fort yet. So they have that lead, but a good team fight can turn things around. And we talked earlier a bit about how difficult it can be when you go up against the Li Ming and she starts to get the resets. And Meldore's meme machine was so close several times to get that initial reset and then try and gain the momentum within a team fight. It eventually didn't really work out for them, but let's see if maybe in one of the later fights they can make those plays. But it's really the pressure that we're seeing from Medivh too that is a huge problem here. Stable portal for him on 16, the enduring will that we're now seeing on 13 here for him as well. He has saved so many heroes throughout the game and has set up a couple of very strong rotations and surprised ganks as well that the meme machine just didn't see coming. Now they themselves are of course hoping to just close that little bit of experience gap towards level 16 to get their next talent too. Shouldn't really be the biggest problem for him. Both of the outer forts are already taken out, so there's not really too much that 42 Esports can take. But they are going to take away the camp here, so that's definitely something they can do. But by the time that we have the next Immortal, the next objective on the map, that shouldn't really become a big issue. Now, looking a bit at the quest progress as well, we have 26 stacks now on the Crash Lightning. 2 stacks, by the way, on Last Rites. Definitely already starting to show a bit of an impact. Because right now, you have that cooldown reduction by 10% already. And I mean, that adds up. Depending on how long the game goes, you might be able to pick up a few more stacks. And once you're at number where you can maybe even use it twice in a team fight, that's absolutely fantastic. Haven't really talked too much about Malthael just yet, but of course he can chip in a lot of damage here as well. And when we're talking about his build, die alone on 4, the coal hands, it's really all about the soul rip that we're seeing here for him outside of the inevitable end that we're having on level 13 to dodge some of those stun movements that we can have from the meme machine. Both of them with a race towards the halftime show. 42 Esports, a bit more successful. And this is really the Immortal that matters. If you blew this one, then you are in a huge amount of pain. 3 kills against 7, and that's something that has to change for the meme machine now if they want to be successful in this game. 16 talent comes in. We have the Plague Bats now for Death Knight. And that is definitely another nice damage boost that they have here. Another nice damage tool. A lot of Poe coming in again. Hanzo is doing his work, and at some point the meme machine is gonna have to switch that flip that switch. Camp at the top lane, already applying some pressure. Bot lane, similar picture. Reyna and Sugar Daddy are both moving in, and they're giving it up. They're giving up the Immortal. Even with the Exterminator, there was just not enough damage against the Immortal. They give this one up. They're just saying, guys, we have camps on both sides, on both lanes. We can't do anything. So now the next goal must be try and force a fight past the Immortal and play it out there. That has to be the objective. This is going to be one of the most important defenses in the entire game, and maybe even the series for the meme machine. If they lose the keep now at the bot lane, that might be the beginning of the end. And 42 Esports taking a 2-0 victory here would be fantastic for them. But right now, we have again the poke with the grenades coming through. Same time now. Nobody checking that bush here anymore. It's all about trying to get the damage in, and Death Knight is actually eating a lot of it. MalGanis chunked down to half health just a second ago, and by the time that we're seeing that wall fall, not really a lot of the shield is gone, or the initial shield. Now we're having it completed, and a melee form reached for the Immortal. Here comes the arrow, tanked by MalGanis again. Sundering coming through, not really doing too much, but the pressure against Muradin is definitely there. Death Knight himself with a Carrion Swarm once again keeps himself alive for a little bit longer, but is attempting to move away and gets stopped by the ult on the side of Medivh. Last Rites not dropping him though. The keep is gone, but the core is alive. Nobody died on the side of the meme machine. MalGanis himself surviving through all of this too. And for at least the time being now, we're still seeing the meme machine in play. They sacrificed the keep at the bot lane, but of course they still have an opportunity to bring this back. Problematic is the 20. This is really the big, or has to be the big concern right now. What happens if my opponent reaches level 20? Let's see how 42 Esports plays this. Because from the perspective of the meme machine, they need to be aggressive now. You want to be aggressive. You want to be out on the map. You want to force something. You want to tell them, listen, either you fight us, that's the fight we want, because it's still on even talents, or you give up camps and infrastructure and allow us to catch up a little bit. And so far, 42 Esports is actually allowing them to catch up slightly. We have now already, well, not quite already, but we have by now the quest completed on Muradin. Pretty late in the game, actually, on level 9, on 19 minutes in. Talking about quest completion, Thrall 1 stack away from the Crash Lightning, and there it is, 20 minutes in. So his damage is going to increase quite a bit more, and he's already sitting at nearly 50,000. They are putting the pressure on right now, but it's half a level until we're hitting level 20 for the team in red, and that could definitely, I don't want to say turning point, but that could be the final nail in the coffin. Let's put it like this. Already we're seeing Death Knight again at the front line, eating a bit of additional damage, but he's not the only one who's going to eat the damage soon, because there's 2 catapults that already home in on the core bot side, so someone has to deal with that, and soon. I mean, the wave for now is going to do a lot of work here, but the next one is already building up. And still at level 20. Shield is nearly gone on the core. Next wave is pushing in. Catapults should be eventually taken down by that minion wave. Could put a bit of core damage through, but now we're having also the objective spawn. And immediately the focus. Meme Machine with the pressure, trying to burst it down. They have the tools to do it, and they get some damage in. But is that going to be enough? 42 Esports goes in. They don't have 20 yet. They're not waiting here. Death Knight is low on MalGanis. He's really low, but Muradin is not looking too healthy either. Barely jumps out and gets the shield from Medivh as they are keeping him alive. But the re-engage is happening. 20 still not in play for the red team. They're trying to use the poke here, but the halftime show is over. Arrow comes in, triple arrow. Muradin looking for the Stormbolt, trying to find it here. More damage. Leyline Seal comes in. It's a 5-man with the 20, and here comes the damage output. We have the rewind on Muradin. He gets the stuns in, and here comes the kill with the last rites. 3rd stack acquired from Alphael, and they are looking for more. They're looking to finish this game. They are looking to end it all here. Another push down to the bot lane. Daddy is not down just yet, but as I say it, he's taken out. They're not going for the objective just yet. They are looking to end? No, not really. They're going for the objective and moving away after all. Double kill. Not going for the core. They have 20, but they're saying, boys, let's go for the objective and win it that way. Let's take it. We have a level. We get the objective. We have level 20. They don't. They are 19. We have the talent. Let's make sure that we play this safe. Now, of course, the downside of the Immortal right now is that he goes through the top lane, since there's still a keep, and they won't be able to go straight through the core at the bottom of the map. Now, there might have been an opportunity for them to really try and make that core play. The damage output, on the other hand, might not really be perfect for a race scenario, but then again, they also have Medivh, so they can always start to just move back from it. But they made the decision to play this safe, to play this when it comes down to for the long game. 9 kills against 3, and so far with that Immortal they should be able to at least pick up that keep. 50% shield on the Immortal, and it's a light one. It's like 23 minutes into the game that we're talking about right now, and the pressure through the top is now starting to amass. We are still seeing Reyna down here trying to get some experience for the team. They want to have their 20s as well, and that is going to help them massively. But the problem is that right now 42 Esports, they aren't waiting. They are going in for this, and they are starting to break through that wall. There's the 20 finally, and we are seeing at this point the Seeker Swarm taken, the upgrade for the Carrion Swarm for Death Knight. We're having besides that also the Ice Blade arrows now taken. When you look at Reyna, he goes for the Execute. They're trying to get the pressure and they're trying to get the damage, but right now it's all about that keep. Can they get the keep? Arrow misses. This time it misses. No connect here. The last few were amazing. Night Rush in again. Sundering Leyline Seal. The keep is definitely a goner, but can they close out the deal? Right now they are looking for the kill. They're going for Death Knight. MalGanis is on half HP and the portal is coming in, but he uses the Felt Claws to move away. Starts to just get out of harm's way here. The Immortal is down. Night Rush activated again, and they are holding, at least for now. Sugar Daddy is eating that last right. It's not enough to take him down. Still only on 3 stacks, but look at Anna. So low here in the back. Carrion Swarm is coming in, and we have Smaragd and Martin looking to close and chase. Here comes the Night Rush. Here comes the sleep. They are looking for the kill. Death Knight actually goes down. Daddy also dead. That's 2 heroes falling here. And we have a 5 versus 3, but everybody's low, and Li Ming is still alive. Li Ming is looking for the reset. Smaragd, it's his time to shine here, and that's something that 42 Esports realizes very quickly. They're moving away, they're dancing, they're going in, they're going out, they're looking for another kill, but they have to be careful. But at this point, Muradin is making the move, he's making the commitment, he goes in, and Li Ming gets the kill. Li Ming with the first kill, goes in, looks for Hanzo, gets the Calamity through. Double kill for Smaragd. He's being chased down and falls eventually, but that's 2 big kills confirmed and very little potential with the remaining 3 heroes to close out the game as long as the catapults are eliminated. And that's exactly what the main machine does. They are down to the core. They have nothing left. There's a tower and a fountain, but that's it. And still the defense is holding strong, at least for now. Here comes the Leyline Seal once again, but 42 Esports just can't close out the game yet. And we have another Immortal spawning. Another Immortal is on the way. Li Ming still down for 30, but we also have Muradin and Hanzo not part of the game for quite a bit of time here. So 42 Esports with 12 kills against 5 is now looking at another objective on the map. 68,000 damage for Hanzo, 78k for Thrall, Li Ming at 58,000 delivering those final kills that we just saw in the last fight. And here comes that race potential that we talked about. So much damage through Tyrande, through Reyna, through Thrall, just going in and dropping that Immortal to half health. The meme machine still clinging to that game, digging their claws in quite literally here with MalGanis and trying to now somehow win that objective. 90% on their core. Li Ming dealing with the catapults, at least letting everything else run into the core, and once again here the approach to try and make it towards the objective, whereas Hanzo is of course just scattering his arrows through. Here comes the Sun Ring once again. They're trying to burst it down. They're going for the burst game, but here comes the arrow hitting two immediately. Well, MalGanis going in with a Night Rush, dropping the Carrion Swarm, trying to get the damage through. Daddy is low, but the sleep is there, saving him for now. Thrall survives. Li Ming under pressure, and Li Ming is down. Once again, Muradin and Hanzo delivering another kill. MalGanis, on the other hand, is also very low, and here comes the play for the Immortal. 27 minutes into the game, Immortal is being attacked. Nice damage here. Also against the heroes in the background of 42 Esports. Sugar Daddy with that Crash Lightning completed is really bringing the pain at this point. He is bringing a ton of pain, and so does Slake. Down they go. Anna falls, and so does Medivh. MalGanis has died, but the fight is still continuing as we see Slake take down Hanzo, get the kill here, and get the penetrating round on 16 through. Massive heal bonus for him. We have a 3 versus 2 on the map here, as all of a sudden the meme machine with only 71% on the core, they grab the big late game Immortal and they drop 3 heroes. Li Ming died first, but then it was all that damage that we saw from Thrall just doing work. 89,000 damage for him, and Reyna was just sitting there saying like, thanks boys, I got this. His 16, his paint them red, keeping him alive several times in that fight, getting that double hit in against 2 heroes, and now they're going through the bot lane. Li Ming is back to business. Only 2 are on the side of the red team defending. Malthael and Muradin, not really the 2 that you want there. You want that Hanzo, but they don't have it, and that is a late game Immortal that we're talking about. Did the meme machine actually turn this game around? They're moving onto the core, and they're looking strong here. Anna is back, Medivh is back too, and here comes Hanzo, but we have the Immortal on the core, and this guy hits like a truck, goes in, the shields are gone, every hit are 10%. They're trying to burn it down, but the rest of the meme machine is already there, and they might have done it. 8 kills against 14, the meme machine is tying the series and drop 42 Esports on Battlefield of Eternity after being a punching bag the entire game. Alright kids, back to game number 3, the meme machine tying the series and forcing Towers of Doom as the final map. Death Knight to the left on Diablo, Martin on Whitemane, Smaragd on Hanzo, Slake on Genji, and Sugar Daddy for the offlane on Sonya. And to the right side, 42 Esports with a bit of a different draft here, chapped on Muradin, but look at Hughes, the Lost Vikings making it into play. Kolios on Greymane, Eternity on Li Ming, and Freebeard on Tyrande. Tyrande so far winning both of the games in this series. Of course, again, that stun follow-up. And talking stun follow-up, I mean, you're looking over to 42 Esports, and the one thing that you immediately see is an insanely strong foreman. If you want to play Vikings, then oftentimes it is incredibly crucial that you have a strong foreman. That's exactly what they do. You lead with the Stormbolt, you get that first one set up, you follow with Tyrande's stun, and then Li Ming just uses the stun target as target practice. You have Greymane to confirm that kill, go in, take it down, and that is the name of the game here. Try and make sure that the foreman obliterates your opponent and let the Vikings soak. But of course, the Meme Machine, they have a few different plans, and they have Genji. Slake on Genji is definitely one of the heroes and one of the players that can now go for a bit of a Viking hunt in this game. Sugar Daddy is already pressuring the top, and right now, this is actually starting to also look a little bit grim, because one of the things that the Vikings cannot really provide too much is that wave clear. If you have someone that pressures your structures, the Vikings might be a little bit in a tricky choice. Chapter missing the Stormbolt, everyone else was already set up for it, but that wasn't really successful. And now we have with a 3-man defense here, very passive, whereas the rest is already going through a tower top side. We have still Olaf, Belok is trying to get the experience in, but let's see how this little game is going to play out for our Viking team here. It's definitely a draft that risks something. We are saying, okay guys, we need to risk something here, but you also need to have results. And the one thing you cannot really afford to do is lose too much infrastructure, especially on Towers of Doom. Early game pressure is something that can definitely take a Vikings team down. Already pressure against Li Ming here, by the way. And here comes Genji. Yeah, Genji needs to be careful because Greyman was immediately on the job as we saw the pressure amount against Li Ming already dropping rather low here. Still a bit of soak happening here in mid lane up to the top. The wall already gone though, but still the early level 4 now also coming in for the Meme Machine for 42 Esports. They break through the bot lane, and again that 4-man is pretty brutal. Once the 4-man starts getting kills, you know you're in trouble. This can really snowball very, very quickly, especially with the global pressure that 42 Esports has. If they also succeed in getting a couple of kills, that would be a disaster. The biggest problem right now for 42 Esports is really that Sonya. How do you deal with Sonya here? The Vikings alone just don't have that. She has that sustain on the lane, she can break that down, and that's exactly what she's doing. And as long as you have vision at the bot lane, as long as Sonya knows that no one except for the Vikings can rotate over, she has free reign. She can do whatever she wants up here to the top. Now keep in mind, we're also having now the mercenary law taken for the Vikings, and that actually works with the camps that can be taken here as well, so you get that extra damage through. But now Belok, Eric is down. Belok at the top lane is starting to shift over, and we are actually seeing the first channel here. Okay, interrupt to the left with Olaf, and the fight over the one in the middle. And this is really where the Meme Machine has to be careful. Olaf goes down. Here come the stuns. We have probably an exchange even. The question is Death Knight gonna fall? And he is low. He might actually go down here depending on Kolios, and he is going deep. But here comes Martin, and they're trying to turn around against Greymane, and that's exactly what happens. Greymane down, went a bit too deep. Nobody following it up, and once that Death Knight was sure that Whitemane would follow it up, they got in and went for the kill. Now Belok down as well. Greymane has fallen. The Meme Machine getting another altar, and that's 2 altars against 1, looking quite strong in the early game here with the triple altar phase. Not quite the start that you envision if you're going in with a strong 4-man and try and outplay your opponent with a bit of macro and global play, but let's see if 42 Esports can bring this back now. Again, they won kills. They haven't gotten anything yet. They would try to go for Diablo, but they haven't really made it work. If you use this setup, it's stun into massive burst damage through Greymane and through Li Ming. That's the idea here. But it all has to start with Chapter. He needs to land those Murden stuns. If he can make that happen and everybody else is on the same page, that would be fantastic for them. But it's going to become a bit harder for them too, because now we have Intercession taken on level 7 for Whitemane, and that is really one of the key elements if you want to break through all of this. Now then again, granted, you have level 7 Calamity now too, so that's another big plus here. Pressure again at the bot lane, and that's where that 4-man also wants to excel. They want to dominate that bot lane, and it's one of the most important lanes, if not the important one in this one. Again, Greymane goes down as Genji went in deep. The brothers together, Shimada power, as we see Hanzo and Genji work together here, and that is all of a sudden 42 Esports on the back foot. And the top lane drama continues. Sugar Daddy is going to get this. Daddy is going to take it all. He takes down the bell tower, and that is not a pretty picture if you are a fan of the meme machine, because that puts them in a very awkward spot. Balog is going to try and reclaim it as soon as he can, but now we have a double altar activating on the map, and this is really one of the moments where you could drop 10 points on the core if you don't get at least one of them. So already the attempt to channel with the Vikings. Here comes the stun against Martin. Whiteman needs to be careful. Death Knight with the engage on Diablo going in deep. Chapter barely jumping out with his Muradin. Sonya already channeling the altar in the middle. That's 5 shots confirmed, and we're seeing Martin trying to go for the second altar here. 42 Esports is on the run, and Li Ming is down. Li Ming dead as Genji goes deep and for the kill. Slake even trying to pick up a second, but missing it against Greymane. A bit too many hit points on him, but that's now 36 points on the core against 22, nearly level 10. If Muradin falls, that is going to be the heroic, but they're going for the towers instead, and both of them drop would also give them the heroic abilities here. The meme machine coming back with a vengeance. 42 Esports winning on Braxis, taking the 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series originally, and then of course what we also had was that approach a bit before that, making sure that they are getting a pretty solid advantage actually in Battlefield of Eternity, but in the end it didn't quite work out for them. They could not finish the game. Another Viking falling here. Q's in the middle. Also the last man standing against Sugar Daddy, who has now switched with Genji. I mean, the entire game plan right now is make sure that Genji takes the Vikings out topside. Sonya's trying to confirm or secure the bell tower in the middle and then take it from there. And they are so far really doing a lot of good work with this. It's really that Sonya factor that they don't have or don't seem to have an answer for right now. But we have level 10 abilities for both teams, and that could be the game changer, because now we have Cursed Bullet, and that really helps you to get a huge chunk of HP out of the way if that initial Stormbolt lands, and then work on that. And that's exactly what they're trying to do here. Immediately going for Death Knight, but that also forces immediately the ult to be popped on the side of Whitemane. Scarlet Egg is dropped into the ground, but yeah, Daddy is still working on that bell tower in the middle. But finally, the Vikings are about to reclaim this one. Talking about the Vikings, we also have now Play Again. One of the problems, of course, is that oftentimes with Play Again, what you're looking for is level 16, so that you get Olaf's stun in, and then you're looking for a flank that can really pressure low HP heroes in particular. Arrow comes through, the Apocalypse, and it's a disaster. Down goes Tyrande. What a combo again from the meme machine, doing solid work here, looking for the second kill. We're having Muradin trying to interrupt as much as he can, but just look at the middle. Sonya has just taken another bell tower. The one at the top is just now about to be reclaimed. Maybe in time, yeah, but barely. It's still 5 shots fired if they want it, and they just realize they can go for more. And that's exactly what they do. The meme machine mercilessly moving through that bot lane, going for the bell tower, and trying to make sure that they get another 6 hit points off the core of their opponent. They themselves pick up level 13 now too, and they absolutely dominate the map right now. 6 more shots fired, 16 points on the core against 36, a level lead, and they hold the majority of bell towers, even with the one that just got reclaimed here in the middle. So camps, the world is currently their oyster. They're getting camps, they're moving back to the top lane, and we're seeing 42 Esports just desperately trying to regain a bit of map control here, moving down to the bot lane. Here comes Slake jumping away from the Stormbolt. Chapter hasn't really been able to land a lot of those. When you look at the Stormbolt count, 15 so far have hit home throughout the entire game. We're seeing 8 Lunar Flares or Lunar Blazes that went through, but not really too much follow-up. Olaf goes down again here as they're protecting the bottom bell tower. And guess what? In the meantime, Sonya is just doing her thing. Daddy is on the job right now. He's all the way up to the top, and there is just no answer. There's no rotations to the top side. They don't have any heroes that are mobile enough to make rotation and then still join up. And here's a desperate attempt with a play again to go down to the bot lane on level 13 and maybe regain some control. Sonya has retaken the top bell tower, and they are just looking with another arrow into the Apocalypse for another kill. They want it against Muradin. Raptor goes down, and that is kill number 7 against 0. Kolios is low, barely moving away in his Grey Mane. And there's another bell tower on the map. We can't even reclaim this one. Another 18 seconds until Muradin is back to business. And Sugar Daddy is basically playing a PvE game here. He's taking bell towers. He's taking camps and minion waves. Doesn't have a care in the world. Let's just look at the damage real quickly. Shouldn't even have too much hero damage. He has 10,000 hero damage. Sonya has 10k hero damage because, well, Daddy is just doing his thing. He's doing his thing on the map, and so far very successfully. It's basically what is currently winning them the game here. And somewhere, somehow, 42 Esports has to find a way to break through this. They're down to 11 points on the core. They haven't found a kill yet. They have a combo that wants kills, that needs kills, but they haven't found them yet. And they're trying to find them somewhere, but they need a good setup. The only thing that's dying here are Vikings everywhere on the map. The boss is now taken 2, that's another 4 points off, and that pushes 42 Esports down into the single digits. They're sitting at 7 points right now. And they never even got that one bell tower at the bot side. And rotations are coming in. Daddy is doing his altar wrecking again, and down here the fight continues. The 4-man is currently a bit too powerful. Apoc is back, arrow into Apocalypse, available again if needed. And Sonya is starting to even think about joining the fun here. 16 is already just around the corner. The meme machine definitely on point so far. Question is simply, can somehow 42 Esports get a foothold back in this game or not? Are they somehow able to get the Vikings back into a decent position here, claim the map, get the macro going, dominate the battleground? But so far it's not looking likely. They're the ones reacting. They can't be initiating fights at this point because they're down a talent tier as well. 16 is in the hands of their opponent, and we have another triple altar activated, and this could be the end of it. This could be the end of it. Even with the Vikings, you need to interrupt somehow, but 2 of those altars grabbed and the game is over. And that's exactly the problem that 42 Esports is now facing. Is the meme machine able to make that little reverse sweep in the best of 3 series happen? Another bell tower already falling here in the middle, and 16 still not ready for 42 Esports. Genji at the top is going to get this one for sure. Sonya takes down one of the Vikings, goes for the second. The shots are flying in down here. The channel is about to be successful, but gets interrupted. And up here to the top, Sonya, Sugar Daddy, is trying to make sure that nobody's interrupting Slake. Slake goes in for the kill though. It's 1, it's 2. He gets the reset, and they're starting again. The owl comes through, interrupts him for now. But this could be the end of it. Another Viking dead, and this is maybe the final fight of the game. 16 is still not there. Muradin jumping in. Tyrande is dead in the backline. Muradin also down, and this is it as Kolios falls. The outcome of the game is certain. Memeldor's meme machine is making it happen. They're taking 2 in a row. They win Battlefield of Eternity. They take Towers of Doom and win the best of 3 series against 42 Esports with a 2-1 victory.